Hello friends, this is Mustafa from Digisol IT classes, online IT training courses. So today I am going to cover the Active Directory. What is the Active Directory and how it works and what is used for in IT corporate industry. So actually in IT Active Directory component or in Windows Server Active Directory component is a very crucial and very important component, base component for IT infrastructure, where user can able to log in, authenticate and authorize to access their resources, assigned access resources. So that's why it is very important. So please go through with full video so that you will able to understand and clear the Active Directory concept. So and also please subscribe my YouTube channel and like, press on the like button so that you will get the new upcoming videos. So what is the Active Directory? Active Directory is a basically, if I definition wise, is a service developed by a Microsoft for Windows domain networks. It authenticates and authorizes all users and computers in a Windows domain type network, right? So it is a basically one type of service which is running on the Windows server, right? And it authenticates users login, username and password, and it will allow you to log into the your desktop laptop, and also will authorize the access. What access do you have? Like maybe file share access, print server access, mailbox access. So then you will get that access also, that you can able to access that resource as well, right? And also assigning and enforcing security policy for all computers and installing or updating software. So it will also help you to assign centrally security policy for users, and also it can able to help end users machines to push the software from the central, from backend or central management, right? So this is the Active Directory structure. So Active Directory structure is the main root is called forest, then it comes underneath the tree, then it will become a domain. So forest tree domain. So for example, contexto.com is a domain, then you can create a corp.contexto.com tree, then you can create a domain also in that tree, and you can create a different domain, one more tree as well, like localcontexto.com. So basically the flow would be like that: forest is the top level domain, then it will come to tree, then it will underneath domain, like that. So we'll try to understand in the next slide what is the forest, tree and domain. Forest is the Active Directory. Forest is the topmost logical content in an Active Directory configuration that contains domains, users, computers, and group policies. Tree is a Active Directory tree is a collection of domain within a Microsoft Active Directory service. It is simple tree is a collection of the domain is called a, more than one domain is called a tree. That is the meaning of the tree. The term refers to the fact each domain has exactly open parent leading to a hierarchical tree structure. A group Active Directory tree is known as a forest. So number of tree is called as a forest. One group, more than one tree is called as a forest. Domain, what is a domain? In Active Directory terms, a domain is an area of a network organized by single authentication database. So this is the one domain area or secondary boundary, you can say. Collection of network is called a domain, right? So in that you will define one a domain logical name like abc.com, right? So then you will create the users in that domain. So in that domain, that the boundary, user can able to log into your network, then he can able to access the resources. In other words, an Active Directory domain is essentially a logical grouping of objects on a network. Domains are created so IT teams can establish administrative boundaries between different network entities. So domain is a simple secondary boundary. In that boundary, you can define your usernames and your like naming conventions, first name, last name, username, at the domain, what domain you will use, and you can define the access to users. So all these resource uh, like, administration part can be done easy while using the Active Directory services or in a domain. Why Active Directory required? So basically, Active Directory is a very important component. Like I said, it is a core component in the IT environment. Active Directory helps you organize your company users, computer, and more. Your IT admin uses AD to organize your company's complete hierarchy from which computers belong on which network to what your profile picture looks like or which users have access to the storage room. So it is very important actually. So if you want to organize or administrate your users, your user company's employee, then you have to like create the user account, then you will assign some policy, some access policy, all these things. So that is a very basic requirement. You need Active Directory in your environment. How Active Directory works? So Active Directory, how it works? Active Directory stores data as objects. So Active Directory normally stores the object. When you create any object, then it will store in the database. The main service in Active Directory is the domain services ADDS, which stores directly information and handles the interaction of the user with the domain. In ADDS, Active Directory domain service verifies access when a user signs into a device or attempt to connect to a server or a network. So normally Active Directory, when you connect one user, user one, then you will provide the username and password. So when you try to log in via the desktop, laptop, then it will like that query will send to the server, ADDS server, activity server, right? So it will check whether that user is available in the AD Active Directory. Then it will check the credential as well. Then it will check whether it is legitimate user. Then it will allow you to log in or sign into the server. Active Directory is a directory service that centralizes the management of users, computers, and other objects within a network. Its primary function is to authenticate and authorize users and computers in a window. So Active Directory is the primary goal, and is that it will allow you to log into net on network, and also allow you to access the what you had access on the resource. You can able to easily access that resources like file server, print server, mailbox, like that. So it is also one beautiful concept is you can easily centralization can be made, and you can centrally monitor, manage the users. Active Directory protocol and authentication. Now Active Directory requires some protocol how your query will flow, like user machine to the server. So that is the protocol is lightweight directory access protocol. LDAP is a directory service that is based on directory access protocol. LDAP directory access protocol. It is used in Active Directory for communicating user query. So user query will be flow via the LDAP protocol. For example, LDAP can be used to search and locate a particular object like a laser printer, right? So it will help you to searching any resource on the network. Now, how it will authenticate? So we need authentication protocol as well, right? To authenticate when user is logging using the username and password, then that time you should have the username and password. That there should be some mechanism to authenticate. Kerberos is an authentication protocol that works on the basis of tickets that allows client to connect to service over an insecure network and still allow clients to prove their identity in a secure manner. So Kerberos V5 protocol is the default protocol to authenticate when user is logging in, is putting the password, credential like username, password, then it will authenticate, it will check whether this is correct credential or not. Then it will release a one ticket or issue a ticket to user. Then the ticket will be valid for 8 hours. Then user can able to log in and access to his resources on the network. Basically, Kerberos is a network authentication protocol that works by using secret key cryptography. Client authenticate with the key distribution center and gets temporary keys to access location on the network. This allows for strong and secure authentication without transmitting password. So that Kerberos is works on the cryptographic key method, secret key method. So password will not flow in a plain text, right? So authentication will happen with the key distribution center, which is running on the Active Directory service or domain. So that will provide you the key, access key. Then user can able to access resource and log into the on the network. So this will not transmit any password. So it is a secure method, and nobody can hack users username and password. Active Directory objects. So now we understood that what is Active Directory. Now what all objects involved in the Active Directory? Like users is one of the object, contact, OU, right? These are the objects, and also groups. Groups also objects. Now in groups we have the two types group. One is security group, one is a distribution group. Security group means when you want to provide access to users. Like for example, if you want to provide one HR folder is there, share folder. So you want to provide a one like read and write access. Then what you will do, you will create a one security group. Then you will add all users. Like for example, 100 users are there. Then you will add to that security group. Then automatically that access permission inherited to the user, so user can able to access the that HR share folder. Distribution group is simply when you want to send the mails to multiple users or distribute the mails, then you have to use the distribution group in Outlook client, uh, right? So you can create a distribution group and add users into that group, 1,000 users. Then once you send mail to that distribution group, then all 1,000 users will receive the same mail. So that is the purpose of this distribution group. Now Active Directory components. So Active Directory component, we have the two types component. One is the logical component, Active Directory logical components. One is the Active Directory physical components. So in Active Directory logical components, forest is the logical component, tree, domain, OU is the organization in it, and Active Directory physical components is sites, domain controllers. Like physically domain server which is hosting the Active Directory is called a domain controller. Now Active Directory model. So how it works? Like here we have the two types. One is the multi-master model. One is the single master model, right? So a multi-master enabled database such as Active Directory provides the flexibility of allowing changes to occur at any DC in the enterprise, but it is also introduced the possibility of conflict that can potentially lead to problems when the data is reflected to the rest of the enterprise. One way Windows deals with the conflicting update is by having a conflict resolution algorithm handle discrepancies in values by resolving to the DC to which changes were written last. That is, the last reads writer wins, while discarding the changes in all other DCs. Although this resolution method may be acceptable in some cases, there are times when conflicts are just too difficult to resolve using the last writer wins approach. In such case, it is best to prevent the conflict from recurring rather than to try to resolve it after the fact. So multi-factor multi-master model is the yeah, on any domain you can write and it will update start, you know, multi mode you can say. So it will give up one problem also. It will conflict will happen, means duplication will happen on one DC. User A is created and trying to create another admin on user A on another domain also, so it might conflict, right? Maybe duplication will happen. So this is not that much good idea to use the multi-master model. That's why we are using the next single master model, right? To prevent conflicting updates in Windows, the Active Directory performs updates to certain objects in a single master fashion. In a single master model, only one DC in the entire directory is allowed to process updates. This is similar to the role given to a primary domain controller PDC in earlier version of Windows, such as NT version. So once you create any object, so that will be allowed in a one Active Directory or one server. That once it is created, then it will be reflected to another domain controller. So it that time it will not happen duplication, right? So this is the one mechanism to avoid the duplication. So that's why you are using the single master model. So we'll see in further slides. Now what is the Active Directory FSM roles? So these are the roles which is a mechanism to prevent the duplication or the ownership of the task, right? So these are the important roles. Active Directory is the central repository in which all objects in an enterprise and their respective attributes are stored. It is a hierarchical multi-master enabled database capable of storing millions of objects. Because it is multi-master, changes to the database can be processed at any given domain controller DC in the enterprise, regardless of whether the DC is connected to or disconnected from the network. Active Directory extends the single master model found in earlier version of Windows to include multiple roles and the ability to transfer roles to any domain controller DC in the enterprise. Because an Active Directory role is not bound to single DC, it is referred to as flexible single master role operations (FSM) role. So these are the 5 roles. So important roles like schema master, domain naming master, RID master, PD simulator, infrastructure master. So we'll see in the next slide definition of the individual role. So first 2 roles are the first level role, schema master FSM role. So if you want to make any changes to schema, attributes or anything, then that schema should be running on the network. That server should be running. Then only you can able to make changes to the attributes, right? Otherwise it is not possible. Because uh, uh, if you are making any changes, then that time that role is down, then it will not updated. That's why it is important. If you want to make it to schema, then that time that role should be running. Same here, domain name master FSM role. This is also one role. When you want to add or remove domain name in your network, then that role should be running on the network or that server is running. Then only you can able to add or remove the domain, right? So that is the main purpose of the this role. Next is the domain level roles, RID master. This is the uh, role which have the RID pool request. So if you want to create any user, so you want a read pool. So one user want the read pool. That is a combination of the SID and RID, right? That become a principal SID. So when you create one object in Active Directory, that will be have the unique ID, SID, security identifier, right? So that is the released or uh, given from the RID pool. That is important. So if that is running out of RID pool is running out of uh, like pool exhausted, then that RID master role should be running. Otherwise, you cannot able to create any new users. Then next is a PD simulator. So PD simulator also one of the important role. It is helping to synchronize the time in the network you are in enterprise, and also it has the some other important role like password changes perform change update will be reflected to other domains, and also authenticate failures at given is a incorrect, it will be checking reporting to the user, right? Authentication if fail, it will that request will come to first PDC. If suppose for example recently user has changed the password, right? So is logging to another DC, but that password depletion not happened. So before that password like wrong password giving that error message, so the DC will connect to the PD simulator. It will ask whether this user has been changed just recently password or what. So if it says yes, okay, then that error password wrong error message will not display to that user. Instead it will logging to, it will allowing allow to log to that user. So that is the one that response is there with the PD simulator. So it will give the replication to other domain controller. And also account lockout process will happen on the PD simulator. So this is the important role, right, for PDC role. So this is supposed to be running on the your environment or in Active Directory environment. Infrastructure FSM role is a one of the role when you have the multiple domains, then cross domain function groups object will be updated, right? So that is utilized for when an object in one domain is referenced by another object is another domain, it represents the reference by the GUID, global unique identifier, the SID for reference to security principle, and the DN of the object being reference. The infrastructure FSM role holder is the DC responsible for updating an object SID and distribution name in a cross domain object reference. And what is the dependency on Active Directory? So it is very important actually Active Directory in your IT industry. So if you want to install SSM application, then that time all you require Active Directory running healthy Active Directory. And if you want to install Exchange Server mailbox services, then you need a Active Directory Microsoft Exchange Server. And also if you want to install link or Skype for chat, I am instant messaging chat or web conferencing or audio conferencing, then also you need. And if you want to host any websites, IS server, web based application server, then also you need Active Directory. So without Active Directory it is not possible. So it is a very important component in IT infrastructure. We have to create a good working healthy Active Directory to run your IT environment healthy without any issue. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe my channel. Thank you.